Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a lovely day today. So today's video is about the awakening and why we don't need as much sleep when we are going through an awakening. Because what you tend to find is once you start going into your awakening, you will start waking up at random o'clocks all the way through the night. So you can maybe go to sleep at 10 o'clock, you're awake at 12 to mainly 4 a.m. That's the main time that we are awake. Now what you find is the very next morning when you get up to go to work, you don't feel tired even though you've not had as much sleep as you would have done normally. And for me, before the spiritual awakening, I would sleep for a solid 8 hours. I would not wake up throughout the night at all until this spiritual awakening started. Now once it started, that was it. I have not had a good night's sleep in the last 3 years. I have been getting up regardless throughout the night, at different times of the night, and knowing that I go straight back to sleep. You know, there's not a problem with that, but you just know that you're connected to spiritual energy, and spiritual energies are taking place whilst we sleep as well. So what I've found is in the spiritual awakening, we are not having as much sleep because what happens is we connect to our own spirit body, and our spirit body has got its own body of spirit and of spirit energy. So the energy of the spirit body does not need as much sleep as the physical body, even though the spiritual body is harboring the physical body. We are having a spiritual experience within the physical body. So this is why we get to a point where we just do not need that amount of sleep. What you will find in a spiritual awakening is when you need to sleep, you will be given the opportunities and the time to be able to sleep. So it may be that you'll take a week off work and you do nothing but want to sleep in that whole week. And usually that's when there's some energy shift coming in. So usually that will be when Schumann resonance is going off the chart and when solar flares are coming in. You will see it happening in our world as well as you needing to that extra rest. But majority of the time it is a case of you go to bed 9-10 o'clock at night, and you will be suddenly awakened 11-12 o'clock and you feel like you've had about 10 hours sleep already, but you haven't. Now in these times what I tend to do is just try to relax as much as possible, let the energies flow throughout my body, and just try to be as at peace as much as I possibly can. So it's important, guys, that we do know about the fact that we don't need that amount of sleep, because you wake up in the morning and think, oh my gosh, I've only had 4 hours sleep, I should be really shattered at work. But then you're not tired at all, and you've got more energy than you had if you'd have had 12 hours sleep. And that's because the spiritual energy is kicking in and it's doing its work for you. So the spiritual being, once you've connected to that, it has got mass amounts of energy. I mean, I used to work night shift. This is how it started for me as well, is the fact that I was able to work all day from 6 o'clock in the morning right up until 6 o'clock that night. Then I was able to go at 10 o'clock at night on a night shift and stay awake till 8 o'clock the next morning. Now if you'd have asked me to do that 5 years ago, I would have been like, absolutely no way on earth would I be able to stay awake for that amount of hours and still be absolutely functioning by the next day. It just wouldn't happen. And when I felt the spiritual awakening pushing me towards doing the night shift, I was thinking, I don't want to do it. And I was really like upset about having to start a night shift because I'd done one in my life, and that night was the longest absolute night I had ever had to do, because I was working as a care manager and one of the carers had gone off and I had to cover her. So I'd gone in to cover her, and it was the longest, most awfulest night of my life. I was just thinking, please let this night come to an end. And as soon as it got to 7 o'clock the next morning, I was like, get me out of here, come on carer, take me off so I can give this shift back. And I couldn't wait for him to come and take me off, and that was the only night shift I have ever done. So when I felt my spiritual awakening pushing me towards doing the night shifts, for the first 2 weeks I was crying my eyes out. I would say I don't want to do but then once I'd done one, I just realised that actually it's quite peaceful doing a night shift. You don't get any like disturbances, everybody's quiet around you, and there were like lots of little jobs to do whilst I was doing the night shift as well. So I got on with all the little jobs, and before you know it, I mean, the hardest part was probably 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. But yeah, so I was able to do the full work all day and work all night, and then go home, have a few hours sleep, and then go back on another night shift. So before this spiritual awakening, that would have never ever happened in a million years. I needed so much sleep, it was unreal. So that shows me that my spirit body, and people would say, I don't know how you're doing it. I absolutely don't know how you're doing it. I could not do that, and people can't. And that's because once you've got in touch with your spiritual being, you've also got in touch with a massive peace and relaxation. And what I would do as well, I'd do a little bit of meditating, because if you meditate for half an hour, it is said that this supposedly means that you've had like 8 hours of sleep, and that makes your body be able to recharge with its spiritual energy. Now, I didn't know how true that was, but obviously I gave it a go and I was fine with it. So for me, the spiritual energy body does not need as much sleep. So that tells me that once we go over to this new world, it does still need to sleep, but not as many hours, and it prefers to have shorter bursts of sleep rather than the solid 8 hours. So is that the way our body should be set up? I don't know, because we get them into routines. You know, if you watch a baby, how a baby sleeps, couple of hours, couple of hours, couple of hours. If we go back to our spiritual being, then potentially that is how we are when we connect back within a spiritual awakening. So we then go back into a few hours, a few hours, a few hours. So you're relaxing the whole time. You are at peace the whole time throughout the day. Nothing can disturb your energy. Even people, when they really wind you up and really get frustrated, you end up just laughing. You just look at them like, why would you even let that bother you? You know, because you're not bothered. You're just not bothered anymore because you're at peace. And you just think, oh, let me get away from that person. They're too draining. You know, I need to just be at peace and chilled and feeling this unconditional love flowing throughout my body. I don't need to be in a stressful environment where people are just stressing about things that are not even important. And I always say to people, if you were told tomorrow that this was the last day of your life, would you care about what it is you're stressing about right now? And the answer is always no, I wouldn't. So I said, well, why bother stressing then? So yeah, so going back to the sleep situation then, so you do feel, as I said, as I've got other videos coming out, you do feel, you know, the spirit energy, you feel the vibrational energy, you can feel the energies change throughout the night, and you do have good dream patterns as well. So you have dreams where you can actually remember your dreams, because that were another thing I always had real strong difficulties with, is being able to remember my dreams. So yeah, so my dreams have become more vibrant in colour, and also you feel like, say, like you've had lots and lots and lots of sleep, so you don't feel drained, you don't feel shattered, you are ready to go to sleep, you know, as the night comes for the next night as anybody else, but you just do find that your sleep pattern absolutely changes. And at the beginning, when it first happens to you in a spiritual awakening, you think, what the heck is this? Why? I'm not going to get up for work tomorrow. You scared alarm clock's not going to go off, and you start going into a bit of panic. So you've just not got to fear, because that's another thing. You automatically wake up at the time that you should for work as well. Majority of the time I wake up 5 minutes before the alarm clock every morning. So it's like my alarm clock's set 5 minutes before I wake up and the alarm goes off, and it's just like that happens regularly. So yeah, so saying that then, guys, you don't need as much sleep when you're in a spiritual awakening. And I think if you look at how a child sleeps, a baby, then you can see that's how we're gonna end up being in the new world. So with that said, guys, do like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, have a lovely day, and I will catch you in another video. Take care for now. Bye.